What's a beloved anime you can't stand? Easy answer is Rurouni Kenshin. I used to love Rurouni Kenshin growing up. Turns out the author is a pedophile who got a slap on the wrist, got a small fine, no jail time for being a legitimate pedophile with tons of child porn. And the manga industry welcomed him back with open arms. But I guess it's kind of cheating because it's not like a beloved anime I didn't like. Like, I used to really like Rurouni Kenshin, but now I hate it because of him.
You mean you still like his work? Art and the artist are separate but are connected. It is connected because a portion of their income comes from their art, and the artist's cultural influences will show through their art. I will give an explanation of the controversy with careful sensitivity, and will let the audience know when this video becomes trivial, because I will be reacting to posts on Twitter and talk about other miscellaneous information. The author of Rurouni Kenshin, Nobuhiro Watsuki. In November of 2017, the Japanese police investigated Watsuki after allegations of possessing child pornography. When the police investigated him, they found many DVD possessions of child pornography. The Tokyo Police Department found child pornography in his office in Tokyo and in his house. Allegedly, according to the reports, he likes late elementary to the second year of middle school girls, but it is worded differently depending on the source. So be skeptical. He was charged with possession of child pornography. He was fined 200,000 yen, which is about 1,900 US. He paid his fine. Due to the complexities of law abroad, please remain skeptical of my report, since the reports outside of Japan has a cultural partiality. The same goes in reverse for reports outside other cultures, nations, and countries. Please seek official sources and avoid thinking about things only through your own culture. I do not have access to the official sources. I'm sorry. According to reports, the author has changed, but again, it is still worded differently, and every report is slightly different. Notice how I did not say he got in trouble for being a pedophile. Because being a pedophile is not a crime, but the possession of child pornography is. Now I know what Charles meant, but sensitivity is important for highly sensitive subjects, which are highly misunderstood. In law, a person is typically defined by their actions, which is the legal understanding of pedophilia. It is often constituted as child sexual abuse or the possession of child pornography. The problem with the legal understanding of pedophilia is that it is reductionist. It solely focuses on the actions of a person without considering what or who influences them to do this. What reasoning exactly as to why did they do this, and how did their environment shape them? Instead, they are stigmatized as being a legal pedophile without knowing for certain as to whether they are a clinical pedophile. When someone defines a criminal solely by their actions, without considering the broad complexities, it is a fundamental attribution error bias, and it is prejudice, because criminals are more than their actions, and it does not account for all criminals. Even if you can show a study to show some criminals are likely to reoffend, this is still discriminatory, as it does not allow equal access to political power and equal and fair treatment and status, as in possessing the same perception of being an equal regardless of their actions or past. If you're selective about the types of crimes you focus on, then how can we have full trust in authorities? I understand murder and piracy are different and deserve to be punished differently, but if you're focused on one type of crime, you have to demonstrate how is it deserving of any more special treatment compared to other types of crimes. Is it impossible to focus on more than just major crimes? And how do you solve the problem of being selective about crimes, while at the same time breeding distrust among the public? Even if you can show genetic influences, I would not disagree with you. It is one factor. But if it is used on a group to attempt to justify unequal treatment, then you just made having agency meaningless. How genetically pure does someone need to be? If you can't answer it satisfyingly, then it means human genetics are not and must not be treated as an absolute. The clinical definition of pedophilia is not the same as the legal definition of pedophilia. Before I read it aloud, please do not use this definition against different cultures outside your own. There's nothing intrinsically fixed about your culture, so stop acting like it. Culture is correlated with compatibility, but culture does not equal compatibility. Using this definition with ill intent makes you a cultural racist against cultures outside your own. This is not to imply no cultural practices are superior. Some cultural practices are superior, but no culture is superior, because there is nothing unchanging about the culture. What you can find in another culture can exist in your own. Culture is not the same as cultural practice. You can't have culture without cultural practices, but culture fundamentally comes down to cultural identity. Any assumption of behavior means cultural identity is a stereotype. You have to ask someone how do they identify to verify their culture, but behavior is influenced by culture. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders is the product of the United States of America. So please be nice and understanding towards other cultures. The clinical criteria is having over a period of at least 6 months recurrent intense sexual arousing fantasies, sexual urges or behaviors involving sexual activity with a prepubescent child or children within the ages of 13 and younger. Second, the individual has acted on these sexual urges or the sexual urges under the requirement it has caused distress or interpersonal difficulty. The individual is at least 16 years old and at least 5 years older than the child. On the note, it says to not include an individual in late adolescence in a relationship. This means older adolescents must not be included, which are close in age range. Notice how it says pedophilic disorder. This is defined as the distrust of those pedophilic tendencies, while pedophilia refers to the attraction towards prepubescent children. Breaking down the subtle implications of this means the legal definition overlaps with the clinical definition, but the problem with the clinical definition is it conflates fantasies of real prepubescent children with reality. Someone can watch child porn to experiment, to verify its validity, as in, is it real or not, and to develop sympathy without watching child porn to titillate their autonomic nervous system and to hurt children. This is not a comparison, but does fantasizing about raping make someone a rapist? No, but it makes someone partially a rapist sympathizer. Thoughts are thoughts, not in action. On to the social definition of pedophilia. The social definition of pedophilia, better known as the cultural construct of pedophilia. The social definition is attractions to prepubescent children, age gaps, under the age of consent, or the appearances of pedophilic thoughts and actions, regardless of the context or intentions, absence of the veracity. The problem with this definition is it is very ambiguous, and it comes down to whatsoever the receiving person or persons wants it to be. Shall we support Rurouni Kenshin? The choice is up to you. If you do not want to support him because he is a pedophile, you're anti-pedophile and should unlearn it. Pedophiles are not just the stereotypes. They can be your neighbor, family, friend, and the people you least expect.
I had been married to Gary for just over 5 years when he told me that he was sexually attracted to young girls. It was troubling. I didn't like it. When someone hears the word pedophile, you think, whoa, child molester. But I recognize that he is not a child molester. He has a sexual attraction to children, doesn't act on it.
If you want Watsky impoverished, this is bad, since it makes society less productive economically. I am against what Watsky has done. If he gets involved in crime again, I would seriously consider not supporting him. He has expressed grievance, and all signs shows he is sorrowful of his actions. It makes the company look bad at Shueisha, but it does not make them complicit in the crime, since no one tells you what to do with your money. I encourage Watsky to finish his work, even though it is not good optics, because I support the truth. The truth, it is not wrong for him to finish his work. It's okay to be a pedophile, but it is not okay to act on it. I forgive Watsky. It does not bother me. He is a pedophile, and it should not bother anyone out there unless you're anti-pedophile. Do not fall for the political correctness which the anime community is experiencing. Think for yourself. It's okay to call out bad behavior, but to suggest someone is irredeemable beyond changes is immature, as it does not reflect human development. You live and learn. Not all truths can be correct and nice, is a fact of reality. Please consider how society has manipulated you to be spiteful towards pedophiles and other groups of people. Fairness is when you are not selective about crime, especially if you can. Now I'll react to posts on Twitter mostly about reactions of the 30th anniversary of Rurouni Kenshin. You can leave now. Higashi barely released 50 chapters in the last 12 years, but he is out here fighting through chronic pain to celebrate the pedophile. He's doing it for the love of the game. I assume Togashi is doing it because he wants to celebrate Rurouni Kenshin. Why did you start with Oda, bro? Maybe that because the translation started this way? And then 30 of the biggest mangaka paid tribute to a known and convicted pedophile. It doesn't matter, do you want art or not? My goat Kubo does not hang out with a pedophile. This is just virtue signaling. Don't see my goat Kubo on here. Kubo isn't concerned about you. He doesn't even know you even exist. In fact, Hunter x Hunter is the only anime with 0 boring episodes. This is just not true. Have you seen the Killio's rescue arc? It ended abruptly, and it was pretty boring how it ended. It was pretty anticlimactic.